Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. It is wonderful. Damn right fantastic to have you along for the ride. What's going on? Here you go. You're looking at Kellen Moore making it officially official with the New Orleans Saints. That's just great. That's exactly what a lot of us thought was going to happen anyway. I know Seth Joyner was extremely adamant on the idea of not taking that job, considering the cap problems, to put it nicely, that the New Orleans Saints are in right now, but he's gone. So what happens now? Few ideas we'll spit out during the show today. We'll get into that. Also, we interrupt your Eagles euphoria to bring you a 76ers embarrassing defeat. Another one, by the way. They didn't get blown out by the Raptors, but they should have blown out the Raptors, and they were favored by 11 points. And Joel Embiid was the Sixers' best player on the floor until the final 4 minutes of the game. We will talk about that for a minute. And Dak Prescott. Remember Dak Prescott? That little adorable little quarterback who plays for the Cowboys. Remember that guy? He's so cute, right? That dude feels as if the Dallas Cowboys are close to the Philadelphia Eagles. I know, cute, right? Adorable even. Just adorable. In case you missed it, I know he didn't play this year against the Eagles. Dak Prescott, they had that Cooper Rush fella. Game one against the Cowboys, the Cowboys lost 34-6 to the Eagles. That was Jalen Hurts versus Cooper Rush. And then, the final meeting there, 41-7, the Eagles won. 41-7, the Eagles won. I'm not a math expert, but I believe that is 75-13. The Eagles beat the Cowboys. That seems like a pretty good day at the office. Nah. Yeah. That's a pretty good day at the office. But Dak Prescott feels they're close. In case you missed it, right after the Cowboys season ended, we played on this show a reporter. I kept his name in there, so we'll get to him a little bit later. Asked the Joneses and Marty Schottenheimer, by the way. I'm blanking on Brian Schottenheimer. Asked him about if they could learn from a division rival such as the Eagles. And the Dallas Cowboys answered in the affirmative. So this means that this means that the Eagles are the Cowboys' daddies. That's what it means. Because even if you have some success after this, even if let's just live in a world where all of a sudden the Cowboys make the playoffs again, you know what I mean? Let's just live in that world for just 1 second. And, hopefully, then they lose to the Eagles at some point. But let's just live in that world for a minute. Even if they do turn things around, it'll be because the Eagles taught them how to win because they forgot how to win. I don't want to have to hear from a Cowboys fan, thank you. I don't want to have to hear that. I don't want to hear that because they would enjoy that thank you, but I would still enjoy the you had to learn from us. But here's the thing. Dak ain't never beaten the Eagles. Not when it matters. The Cowboys with Brian Schottenheimer are not shoddy, as they were calling them. They're not beating the Eagles. They just they hired from within on an organization that needs pretty much an overhaul. That just shows that they're going to do the same thing over and over again. Now, again, going back to the Eagles, there's some options here that we'll kick around, but we'll talk about an article that came out last year that kind of had me going down this path anyway as to where the Eagles might go when it comes to replacing Kellen Moore as a play caller. We'll talk about that. And the Eagles were on Jimmy Fallon last night. I wasn't expecting that, and then all of a sudden I saw it started coming up in my social media feed. I figured they were going to do a talk show at some point. It seems like every time there's a Super Bowl MVP, every year it seems like the Super Bowl MVP goes on one of the late night talk shows. All in all, I thought it was fun. They did a little Kendrick Lamar thing. By the way, I know a lot of people care about that whole thing. I don't. But the song, makes me tap my feet a little bit. So I think it's good. But Jimmy Fallon used that last night. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley were the key people, obviously, on the show. And then the entire offensive line showed up. Social media kind of spoiled that. You knew that was coming. They all shotgunned a beer together. Saquon Barkley shouted out that he went to Penn State, so he knows how to shotgun a beer. So people like that. Saquon also had a really good line, I thought, when they were asking Jalen Hurts about the tush push. He was like, hey, Jimmy Fallon was like, hey, Saquon, what do you think about it? He goes, I got the easiest job. I'm the one who pushes the tush. And I'm like, that's a good line, Saquon. That's funny. And then Jalen, I think we found something that Jalen's not good at. Jalen is not good at being on talk shows. Tell you that much. And that's fine. And are we done? We're done now, right? We don't have to ask Jalen Hurts anymore about the screen saver or the lock screen or the background, the wallpaper on his phone anymore. Like, we don't have to do that anymore, right? Like, we're done with that. He said after the Super Bowl, he ain't changing it. So good for him. Let's stop badgering the man about his lock screen and his wallpaper on his phone. But the fact that he says he's going to keep it there, all right. That's the motivation you want in a quarterback. That's the mindset you want in your quarterback. As we talked about at length yesterday, that's exactly what you want. A guy that thinks like he does. They win a Super Bowl. He's holding the trophy, the MVP trophy, and the Lombardi trophy. And he's talking about how the team hasn't arrived yet. I also caught Chauncey Gardner-Johnson yesterday when he was on ESPN. And he said, he was asked point blank about having your own dynasty, a Philadelphia Eagles dynasty. And he said, yeah, we just want to get through the parade and get to training camp. And I'm like, this guy is already done with the parade. He is done with the offseason. And he is already at training camp. I love this team. How could you not? Yesterday, I think one of my overriding points was, how do you not love Jalen Hurts? How do you not find it so easy to root for this guy? How do you not love the Eagles? Now, don't get me wrong. If you're a fan of any other team, especially any other team in the NFC East, especially the Cowboys, who are going to be taking lessons from the Eagles, if you're a fan of any other team, I get, but if you're in the Philadelphia area, how is this not your team? And how have you not jumped on the Eagles bandwagon? This is such a perfect team. Blowout victory over a dynasty, over a three-peat seeking Kansas City Chiefs team. Blowout. Control start to finish. How do you not love this team? I don't know how you don't love this team. All right, let's start it off. I'm going to save the Sixers for last. I know they're the most recent. Oh, and the parade, we now know official starts 11 o'clock. So I'm definitely going to bring Lil Toots down. Me and the missus. Our goal is to probably just drive as close to, the parade route as possible and park. And then I know of a secret garage. Hopefully that'll come in the clutch for me. And yeah, we'll just have ourselves a time. Leo's too little. 3-year-old down there. That's a bad idea. That's a very bad idea. Anyway, so yeah. Oh, and also hopefully everyone in the area here is doing okay with the snow. But let's get things started with laughing at the Cowboys because that's still fun. Dak Prescott was addressing the media yesterday. There was a little powwow there. It is, I don't know what event he was at or whatever, but he got asked about if they feel, as Dallas Cowboys, they're close to their division rival, the Philadelphia Eagles.
I feel like we compete with the Eagles and beat them for the most part when we played them. I don't want to say check the record when they're the guys holding the trophy right now. So credit to them. They've earned it and they deserved it by all means. But, yeah, very close, especially when you even watch the NFC game, the NFC Championship. And those two teams that we battle against each and every year a couple of times. And as I said, feel confident about we've gotten a better part each and every time. To see it in such a dominating fashion, credit to them. It's our turn and it's on us.
I'll say that. Let me start off with this. I give them credit for saying they're the ones holding the trophy. Don't check the record. Here's the thing, and I made this proclamation last year, and there has been nothing to take away from this proclamation. And very rarely do I use the word proclamation, but I made this last year. The Cowboys are a joke. They're an absolute joke. Like, the venom behind hating the Cowboys, I know, in most recent generation has kind of started to go away. I know we're taught from a very young age to hate the Cowboys, right? But how do you take the Cowboys seriously if they're not a threat at all? How do you take them seriously? Even if they have a phenomenal record, what do they rattle off? 15 home wins in a row? Even if they have a season like that, they got put over the knee of the Green Bay Packers in their first playoff matchup. They got spanked. How do you take a team like that seriously? Even if you drop 2 games during the regular season of the Cowboys, I have absolute confidence that the Eagles will blow them out in the postseason. They don't know how to win. They don't know how to come up in the clutch. And let's not forget, I think this was about a little less than a month ago, end of the Cowboys season, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones are addressing the media. And there's a brilliant question posted by this reporter. His name's in here. Listen to this. Anything that the Cowboys do, they'll have learned from the Eagles.
From a personnel and roster building standpoint, salary cap management as well for Jerry and Steven, you guys talk about learning some hard lessons, especially from 2024, depth issues once you guys were ravaged by injury. Just as far as salary cap management goes, free agency and the like, looking in the mirror is one way that you can learn things. Another way is to look at what your opponents and enemies are doing and try to kind of take from their strategies. When you look at a team like the Eagles, for example, do you feel there's anything that you guys can kind of take from their strategies, seeing as they handle free agency a certain way and they're back in the Super Bowl this year, that kind of could work for the Cowboys going forward?
Yeah, I think you certainly look at that. I think you look at your competitors in your conference, what it's going to take to have success, whether that's a 49er team or whether that's an Eagle team. Obviously, the 49ers, had the injury bug situation. And, in this salary cap era, if that injury bug hits you hard enough, it can be difficult to overcome. And
yeah, that can be difficult to overcome. So 49ers, all right, I can understand that. They got a history of, getting the Super Bowl. That's pretty good. Winning playoff games, that's pretty good. The Eagles, they were on their way to winning a Super Bowl. They just beat you during the regular season. What was the number I gave you? 75-13. We can take note from the Philadelphia Eagles. How beautiful is that? How wonderful is that? I guess Dak would be trying to improve upon his 2-5 record in the postseason. Let's see. The Eagles won 4 playoff games this year alone. And Dak Prescott's won 2 in his career in 7 attempts. It ain't close. And I love that this word is getting associated with Jalen Hurts. I've been using it all season. I even before that. I mean, the 2022 season, the 2023 season, before the collapse, of course. But clutch is the word. And I mentioned yesterday that it got brought up with Stephen A. and Ryan Clark and Jeff Saturday, I believe it was, about how clutch Jalen Hurts is. Jalen Hurts is the most clutch quarterback in the NFL right now. All throughout this season, this is what calmed me down if I ever was approaching the edge this year when it came to the passing game. And as I've said and noted many times before, the edge of just complete lunacy for me was that Panthers game. And I feel like more than most, I kept confidence in Jalen Hurts. When it came to the Panthers game, I wasn't just concerned about Jalen Hurts. I was concerned about everything. And ultimately, after the game, when A.J. Brown made the comment about, hey, what do you guys need to work on the most? Passing. We need to work on passing. Even though he didn't say Jalen Hurts, that's the way a lot of people took it. But after watching the all-22 of that game and seeing how discombobulated everything was, yeah, the passing game had atrophied. I know I've made note of that on the show many times. But one thing that really made me come back down to earth to find a big old bowl of soup of reality was the fact that in Jalen Hurts' worst game, he had 3 touchdowns. The guy who sucks had 3 touchdowns. And I believe that game was 1 through the air and 2 on the ground, off the top of my head. I'll go back and look at it. But all throughout the season, he had been clutch. If Saquon was running up and down the field and it was still close late and you needed a throw to put it away, Jalen Hurts made that throw. Whether it was a 3rd and long, whether it was a 4th down, whether it was a bomb down the field, whether it was a 10-minute and 22-second drive where he went 5 for 5 on. That's a pretty good day. That's pretty clutch for your quarterback. And I love the idea that now he's getting the accolades, not just with the Super Bowl MVP trophy, not just with a Super Bowl trophy, but around the league, getting the accolades that he deserves. And the accolades are the words. You talk about people eating crow. Yeah, they're having it served up courtesy of a waiter named Jalen Hurts. Do I need to? I think why not? I love this. I'll show it again. Oh, hey Jalen, you got benched in college. Hey Jalen, you had to switch schools in college. Hey Jalen, you got drafted in the 2nd round. Hey Jalen, you're going to sit behind Carson Wentz. Hey Jalen, you're going to start over Carson Wentz. Hey Jalen, we don't think you're the guy. Hey Jalen, we might get Aaron Rodgers. Hey Jalen, we might get Russell Wilson. Hey Jalen, we might get Deshaun Watson. Takes a team to a Super Bowl. Next year, the file is an epic collapse. Oh, is Jalen Hurts the guy? This year, oh, Jalen Hurts is in the sidecar. Oh, Jalen Hurts going to cost his team a Super Bowl. I'm terrified about Jalen Hurts. Meanwhile, Jalen Hurts. Double barrel middle fingers. How beautiful is that? It's flat out gorgeous, is what it is. I feel like I need to do that rant every day until the new season starts. Can't wait. So now there's the question of who takes over. And my man Ari, who listens to us out on the West Coast there, sent me this question. And this is something I've thought about. And we all knew what was going to happen with Kellen Moore, that he was going to leave. And he's gone. He's left us now. He's now with the New Orleans Saints. Good luck to you there, fella. Thank you for your time here in Philadelphia. Let's start with this. At the end of last year, when the Eagles had that awful collapse, I was one of the people. Now, look, if people try to label me a Jalen Hurts hater, you're wrong. That's not an accurate statement. You, as a fan, listener, someone who's checking out the show, you're giving a hot take. All right, you're giving what you hate the media for. All right. So I've never been on the Jalen Hurts hate train. I have, more than anything, been on the Jalen Hurts support train. And been on an early ticket holder on the bandwagon there. But when it comes to Nick Sirianni, I've fired him 3 or 4 different times. 3 or 4 different times. So if you want to throw that in my face, have at it. But listening to Nick Sirianni at the end of last year talk about how the offensive coordinator is going to be in charge of the offense, defensive coordinator in charge of the defense, we know the story. My thought was, okay, so now we're going to get in this vicious cycle where, again, let's see, Shane Steichen, Brian Johnson, Nick Sirianni was a play caller as well, and now Kellen Moore. And now you're going to get into this vicious cycle of Kellen Moore's going to come in here and he's going to do a good job, and the Eagles are going to be a good offense. And the Eagles adding Saquon Barkley only furthered this thought that the Eagles are going to get in this vicious cycle of, again, having multiple play callers. And they're just going to get rid of Kellen Moore. Then you're going to have another year of trying to settle in with somebody else, trying to get used to that person, and so on. So the thought crossed my mind. You could look at the Eagles coaching staff and you could say, all right, Kevin Patullo, it's been rumored for the last couple of weeks that if Kellen Moore does move on, their passing game coordinator and associate head coach, Kevin Patullo, gets promoted to be the offensive coordinator. I know a lot of people, they'll be talking about potentially moving Jeff Stoutland up to offensive coordinator. I would doubt that happens. And whenever he's been asked about it, he either laughs or just talks about how happy he is in the position that he's in now. You can look at a guy like Jason Michael, tight end coach, getting promoted. You can look at Aaron Moorhead, the wide receivers coach, has been around the league for a while. You can look at him potentially moving up the ranks there. Doug Nussmeier, if he doesn't go with Kellen Moore, which I would assume he would become the offensive coordinator there in New Orleans, he could potentially leave and go there. Like, there's a lot of names that we could just throw out right now. Kevin Patullo is the leader in the clubhouse. But the important thing is not who is the offensive coordinator per se. The important thing is who's going to be the play caller. And this makes me go back to, I believe it was a report from Tim McManus last year. Or no, actually it was Marcus Hayes, about how Jeffrey Lurie has confidence in Nick Sirianni because he sees a lot of Andy Reid in Nick Sirianni. The way Nick Sirianni has been brought along, and this is going to be a guy who's going to be probably the highest paid coach in the NFL next year. If not the highest, one of the highest, certainly. Supposed to get more than the 13 million, 14 million that other fellow got in Chicago. Ben Johnson. So maybe that is time for more responsibility. Nick Sirianni took over as a play caller and game planner for the Philadelphia Eagles, as well as being the head coach. He quickly relinquished those responsibilities, at least when it came to play calling. We all know the history there. If the article is true regarding Jeffrey Lurie looking at Nick Sirianni as if he is a little bit of a project, sees a lot of potential in him, knows his attention to detail, maybe it was going to take some time. Yeah, sure, let him relinquish play calling, but maybe down the line he can take that over again. Now, personally, I think the Eagles have found a formula that works. But that formula includes Kellen Moore. That formula included Shane Steichen. Guys that took over that play calling responsibility and did a wonderful job with it. To the point where it got the Eagles to the Super Bowl twice, winning this last one, obviously. So is this going to be part of a master plan here from Jeffrey Lurie to bring Nick Sirianni along, have him settle into the head coaching role, and then eventually overtake play calling again? I will throw a maybe on that, but I will also put an unlikely on that. The question Ari asked was, basically, is it time? And it's something that I've pondered. Maybe that's part of the plan from Jeffrey Lurie. I think, though, Nick Sirianni has found a groove that he really likes. I think if they do elevate somebody from within, a Kevin Patullo, for instance, I think you'll start to see a little bit more of Nick Sirianni calling plays, but not be the play caller per se. We know that he made play calls this year outside of just whether or not to go for it on fourth down, or whether or not to, what to do on a third and long if he had an idea, whether or not to go for a 2-point conversion. Actually calling plays, we know that Nick Sirianni had something to do with that this year, more so than what we had anticipated going into the season. So with that being said, would he still mostly trust whoever the offensive coordinator is, or would he get more involved the way he did towards the end of the season when Brian Johnson was calling plays for the Eagles before he became the passing game coordinator of the Washington Commanders? Where I'm leaning in all of this is that he just continues to let somebody else do it. If Nick Sirianni started out his head coaching career with more of the quote-unquote CEO type mindset, I think he would have made things a hell of a lot easier for himself. Because there have been other coaches throughout the NFL, whether it be Dan Campbell or whether it be John Harbaugh, that have just simply taken over the responsibility of being a head coach without taking over the responsibility of being a play caller. The fact that, and this is the point I've always made throughout the entire process, throughout the entire time Nick Sirianni's been here, you can't compare him to those other coaches because those other coaches started things out in the CEO role, the overseer of all. Not, I'm going to do everything. And then maybe I shouldn't do everything. Once you start having dwindling responsibility, that ain't a good look. He would have saved himself a lot of headaches, would have saved us all really from that argument. I think this is the groove that he should be in. I think understanding how to delegate and focusing on making sure the team is staying focused, because that has proved to be remarkably important. And when I say remarkable, it's important for every team. But to do it at the rate that Nick Sirianni has done it at, and we've referenced these numbers before, but talking about 10-1 seasons, back, 2 14-win seasons, 2 Super Bowl appearances, playoffs every year. As a head coach, you don't want to get out of that. You found something that works for you, and you also found something that works for this team. So let's stick with that. That seems to be the winning formula for Nick Sirianni as a head coach. Not Nick Sirianni, the play caller and game planner, but Nick Sirianni, the overseer of all as a head coach. Yeah, you want to call some plays here and there? Yeah, call some plays here and there. You got enough experience now. But when it comes to overall being in charge of the game plan, overall being in charge of play calling, no thank you. Step aside, sir, please. So my prediction is they hire from within. They elevate from within, most likely Kevin Patullo. They'll have conversations around the NFL with some other people. But I would assume if Doug Nussmeier, the quarterback's coach now, who has a great relationship with Jalen Hurts, if he moves on to, and great relationship with Kellen Moore, if he goes on to New Orleans, I would assume the next man up would be Kevin Patullo here in Philadelphia. And maybe they go outside the box. Maybe there's another hot name out there that they could bring in here. But that's just the direction I see them going. But bottom line is, I don't think it's time to all of a sudden have another philosophical change where Nick Sirianni goes, now I got this. I can do it. I don't think that's the right way to go. Look, I will say I hope it is. I hope it is. But I don't think that's the direction that the Eagles go. The reason I say I hope it is because do we really want to be dividing blame? And also, I would love for the offensive coordinator position in Philadelphia to really not matter as much. I would love it to be just the position that's there to help and not there to make crucial decisions. Not there to make the decision on the game plan. I would love for the head coach to have that responsibility. That way we don't fall into that vicious cycle of, now we got another play caller and Jalen Hurts is here. What is it, 11 play callers in the last 8 years for Jalen Hurts? No, I think it's even more than that. I think it's 12 or 13. Excuse me. Shane Steichen's the only repeat. Shane Steichen's the only guy to be like, I've heard this voice before. I heard it last year. This is amazing. So my prediction is that they do not go with Nick Sirianni as the play caller. My prediction is Doug Nussmeier moves on and Kevin Patullo gets elevated and promoted from passing game coordinator and associate head coach to offensive coordinator. That's the way I see that playing out. I did mention the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line as well as Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts put on Jimmy Fallon last night. That was just fun. That was just good times. They played the voicemail of Saquon Barkley's daughter basically wishing him good luck in the Super Bowl. I know you're going to win, all that stuff. It was beautiful. It was just, it was awesome. Jalen Hurts does not seem very comfortable in the talk show chair, and that's fine. That's fine. I don't give a damn about that. But just being real, didn't seem like it was his natural habitat by any means. One of the realest things Jalen Hurts said over the last couple of days here was when everybody was congratulating him on the sideline and everyone's hugging and broing it out and all that stuff. And the footage came out of him and Devontae Smith talking about how they love each other. Oh, man, that was awesome. But Jalen Hurts said one of the realest things he said over the last couple of days in all his press conference time, he said he's not really comfortable when everybody's dabbing him up and congratulating him. He wants to focus on the work. And he said something yesterday that I thought was so poignant. He talked about holding the Lombardi Trophy. And people will always criticize the question, tell me how you feel. Tell me how you're feeling in that moment. But it's the question that gets the answer that people care about. And Jalen Hurts gave a perspective of holding the Lombardi Trophy that I've never heard before. And he said, holding that trophy, all he could think about was the work. All he could think about was Saquon flying out to California to work out. And it wasn't like Saquon was going to lead the team in receptions, but just to start building that chemistry, understanding what that mesh point was. Like the Eagles throughout the season, I don't think they had one mesh point. They might have one. They might have had one mesh point issue. But for as many times as they ran the RPO, that zone read, the read option, whatever, it was damn near flawless. But Jalen Hurts said all I could think about was the work. And then he said, when I was staring into that chrome on the Lombardi trophy and seeing my own reflection in it, that was pretty special. And then I thought about that, and I'm like, how poetic is that? You're literally looking at the greatest prize in your sport, the greatest trophy in the United States, as far as I'm concerned. The Stanley Cup you share with Canada. So that's the greatest trophy in all sports, I believe. But the Lombardi trophy, you're staring at it, and you literally see yourself in it because of the reflection. So when he's talking about all you do is you see the work, you're looking back at yourself, which is so appropriate in this sense, because you want to be able to acknowledge everything that you put into holding that trophy. And how beautifully poetic is it that you then see yourself in the trophy? When he said that yesterday, I was like, this guy just, okay, when he's talking about football, just write Hallmark cards or something, because you'll crush that too. Write a Valentine's card. You're the tush I'd push. What? Come on. Anyway, sorry. It came to me and I had to say it out loud. But I thought that was absolutely incredible. Then the offensive linemen came out. All of them lined up in their stances when they lifted the curtain, and they all came out and shotgunned a beer together. And Paul Schaefer was, I don't know if the Roots are on tour or something. I rarely watch late night TV anymore. I grew up watching Letterman like every night. And then I watched Conan, and then I would watch like the monologue of Jay Leno, because the way it used to be Letterman, and then I'd flip over to NBC and watch Conan, and then if I was still up, they would rerun the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and I would catch a little bit of that. I wasn't a big Jay Leno guy, but huge Letterman guy. And I got to hear Paul Schaefer sing Fly Eagles Fly, which I didn't even know it, but I put it on my bucket list and immediately crossed it out. Seemed like a nice Eagles crowd. They have a Jalen Hurts jersey in the crowd. I saw that at the Tonight Show. That was pretty cool. And the Eagles are getting the flowers, as everybody says. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Or, you could also say it's...
that's pretty dope.
Thank you, Nick. That is pretty dope. So put a bow on the conversation of offensive coordinator. I'm going to go ahead and assume Kevin Patullo takes over that responsibility there, and not Nick Sirianni, as far as play caller goes. The 76ers. Do I still have you? We interrupt the euphoria of the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl, and we interrupt the great anticipation of the parade on Friday at 11 o'clock to bring you a fourth straight 76ers loss. In case you missed it, the Sixers played on Sunday against the Bucks in Milwaukee, and they lost. No Giannis Antetokounmpo. They were Giannisless. They were Greek freakless, and they lost while having Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid playing. And then they were off on Monday, and then they were back at it Tuesday at home, and they fell into a 19-9 deficit in the first 6 minutes of the game. They surrendered a 13-0 run. They ended up coming back to tie it, take a lead a couple times, and Joel Embiid, let me just say this. Do I have this? I have it. Joel Embiid, with about 6:45 remaining in the game, and the Sixers down 1, made an incredible play. Spinning layup. Got the end one. Missed the free throw, unfortunately. Pulled the Sixers within 1. Next trip down the court, Joel Embiid has a driving layup where he imposed his will and just dominated. Took two giant steps through the paint and got the layup, put the Sixers up 94-93. I thought at that point, at the 6:10 mark of the fourth quarter, All right, they got this. Tyrese Maxey had scored 2 points to this point in the game. He made 2 free throws. This is the fourth quarter we're talking about here. He made 2 free throws with 2:27 remaining in the third quarter. Those were his only points of the night to this point. Going to the fourth quarter, 6:10 mark. Embiid makes the driving layup. Sixers go up 1. Then it was a little bit of a seesaw. The Toronto Raptors, Grady Dick knocked down a 3. And then with the Sixers down 3, 96 to 90, or it should be 99 to 96, 3:40 remaining in the game. Joel Embiid, who just imposed his will and I thought cracked the code on just attacking the basket, decided to take a 3 with a hand in his face. That was stupid. That was a bad decision. He overshot the rim and hit the opposite side. It was from about the foul line extended. I think it was Scotty Barnes that came over to D him up. He shot it over Scotty Barnes, over the rim, hit the opposite side of the glass, goes the other way, and what ends up happening is instead of the Sixers getting a game-tying 3 from Joel Embiid, or even a driving dunk from Joel Embiid, who had the opportunity to do it as well, and I would have rather seen him do that, it goes the other way, and Grady Dick knocks down a 3 to put the Sixers down by 3, 99 to 96. Then Paul George hits a 3 to tie, or to pull the Sixers within 1, makes it 101 to 100. And then Tyrese Maxey hits a 3 to tie it up at 103 all, with 1:49 remaining in the game. And I'm like, okay, Maxey finally hit a 3. Joel Embiid's learned his lesson. He's going to attack. He's not going to shoot the wide open 3s. That's fine. Then you better attack. So then what ends up happening? Joel Embiid pulls up from the elbow, misses a little jumper, and then the awfulness of awfulness with about, do I have it? Yeah, okay. All right. What the hell? Yeah. I thought I had the wrong quarter up. Here we go. Joel Embiid gets a wide open 3-point attempt with 8 seconds remaining, actually with 10 seconds left in the game. Tyrese Maxey drives. Two defenders collapse on him, leaving Joel Embiid wide open at the top of the key. Joel Embiid with about 10 seconds left, and the Sixers down 105-103. Has an opportunity to let it rip. If he's going to shoot a wide open 3 at this point, by all means, shoot that wide open 3. He had settled for pull-ups. He had settled for 3s in opportunities to drive and dunk, drive and get a layup, drive and get fouled and go to the line again for a 14th and 15th time on the night. And instead, in this instance, he shies away from shooting the 3 and puts the ball on the floor to drive. He loses the ball. He turns it over with the Sixers down 2. Grady Dick goes down the other end, hits a free throw. Makes it 106-103. Tyrese Maxey gets a good look on a play that worked. And he hit it off. He almost airballed it. He hit it off the front bottom of the rim. And the Sixers lose their 4th straight. Joel Embiid was the Sixers' best player on the floor for the night. His decision-making was god-awful in the final 4.5 minutes. Tyrese Maxey was probably the Sixers' worst player on the night. But you knew that going into those clutch moments if you're Joel Embiid. So you knew it's got to be you. Like as much as Jared Butler had a good game, 15 points off the bench, as much as Quentin Grimes, Carl, had a great game, 15 points for the Sixers, played about 36 minutes, I think it was. As great as those guys played off the bench, as great as Kelly Oubre played for the most part last night, like Joel Embiid had to take that game over. And he had opportunities to take that game over. Nobody was stopping you, and you were going to the line. Why are you settling for jump shots in those moments? Why are you settling for 3s in those moments? And then when you finally get the opportunity to shoot a wide open 3, you're like, I think I'm going to drive. And he turns it over. Doesn't make any damn sense. That's enough Sixers talk. They're back at it tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. The Sixers, Played a game last night with back-to-back energy, but it was only the first game of a back-to-back after a day off. And now they go and face the Brooklyn Nets. And by the way, the Bulls, who they're chasing, the Sixers are going to make the play-in tournament. This is insane. The Bulls, who suck and sold at the deadline, they got annihilated last night. Like the Battle of Kenai. They got annihilated. Last night, the Chicago Bulls lost 132-92 to the Detroit Pistons. The Bulls shot. They at least started out 0 for 18 from 3. The Bulls finished 10 of 47 from 3 for 21.3% from beyond the arc. Goo! They scored 18 points in the first quarter, 11 points in the second quarter. That's no bueno. Cade Cunningham did play in that game. Malik Beasley, 24 points off the bench. How about that? Anywho, like I said, that's enough Sixers talk. Hey, let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy. Get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Game Time app has you covered. Also, don't forget to use the all-in pricing feature and Game Time Picks feature. Game Time Picks is amazing. It filters out all the fluff, so you see the best seats at the best prices. You cut right down to it on the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase. And again, you can use it for sports, concerts, comedy shows, Disney on Ice. As a father of young children, be doing that for the first time. It sounds like my worst nightmare. Anyway, download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. How about Sky Motor Cars? Check out our friend Brett's amazing inventory at SkyMotorCars.com. Before I get to the chat check, let me just tell you a quick story. I don't like taking the little one, Leo. 3 years old. I didn't like taking little toots. I didn't like taking her to like dinners or restaurants or anything like that when they were really little, because I'm always worried that I'm going to ruin somebody else's night. Like I don't feel like that's nice. If you feel like your kid's rather unruly, and Montaluz is great now. Emmanuel, little toots, she's great now. Leo is a psycho. So I don't ever want to feel like I'm about to ruin somebody else's evening with the idea that, my kid's going to bounce off the wall. So Disney on Ice for me, I assume that there's enough other parents in the same boat that you can take your kids to these public places. They're going to have a good time. But I'll just say this. When my wife and I were expecting little Toots to be born, I remember I was walking around the Wells Fargo Center. I was working at NBC at the time, so, the offices were there. And I went out to grab a slice of pizza, and it just happened. Oh, Disney on Ice is going on. And I'll never forget. I was walking and I saw this mom walking with her daughter, and it looked like she was holding her son. She was holding her son. And I remember looking at that, and I remember I'm walking maybe 20, 30 feet behind him. And I remember looking at it, and I have my slice of pizza, and I have my soda, and I'm like looking at them ready to go back to work. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, my wife is expecting. This is amazing. This is going to be my life. How beautiful is that? And the minute I thought that, the mom looks down to the daughter, and she said, I'll never forget it. It was so beautiful. She goes, "Shut the hell up. I'll buy you one." And I'm like, oh, that's going to be me soon. Not that I've ever told my kid to shut the hell up. And I really don't plan on doing it. Maybe, we'll see what happens when they get older. But I just remember thinking, yep, that's about to be my life. Shut the hell up. I'll buy you one. And I'm like, you couldn't have written that timing better. Thinking of this beautiful thought, immediately ended, and immediately here, shut the hell up. I'll buy you one. So hopefully I get through Disney on Ice without saying, shut the hell up, I'll buy one. Also, any advice for people that have been there where I'm about to be? I'm open to all advice. All right, let's get into the chat and see how you guys are doing on this fine Wednesday morning. Again, hope you guys are doing well with the snow. Sean Gillespie, what's going on? Good morning. April, good morning. Sean Gillespie, well, Dallas Goedert did just win the Super Bowl, so the Cowboys are... That's wonderful. Sean Gillespie, damn, Kellen, you could have tried for another Lombardi with the Eagles. Right? John Cheeseborough, what the? Good to see you again, bud. April, someone needs to check Dak for CTE. Yeah. Jeez. Dork Prescott, love it, is set for calls on teams all weekend long with reality. Oh, teams. That's funny. Brian, what's going on? Wine Niners Wine. Be great when East is Eagles, Commies, Giants in the playoffs, and Dem Boys have 2 wins. That's pretty lovely. That's pretty lovely. I just saw it. It's not Washington, but since the Cowboys last won, the Giants have now won 2 and been to 3 since then. Because remember, they went with Kerry Collins. There's a name for you. And they got blown out by the Ravens in 2000. Yeah. And then they won 2 with Eli. And now the Eagles have won 2 Super Bowls, been to 3. So now the Giants and the Eagles have both won 2 Super Bowls, both been to 3 Super Bowls since the Cowboys have been to the Super Bowl. Huh. It's almost like they suck. It's almost like the Cowboys are not close. Anyway. Brian, what's happening? Nice to see you. Sean Kilrain, the Eagles wrote defensive history on Sunday, held the Chiefs to 23 first-half yards. Amazing. Forced 3 turnovers, including the pick 6, never blitzed. It's pretty amazing. North Philly Niff, what's going on? Can we get an offensive coordinator not Jonesin? Is that supposed to be a head coach? No, you can't. The only thing you can do is get someone who other teams won't look at immediately as a head coach. That's why Kevin Patullo would have some staying power. Eric Wisniewski, what's going on, man? I'll be happy if they just make it back and play well. All right, I'll take it. Sean Kelmer, Jalen Hurts has as many touchdowns in the fourth quarter as in completions thrown since the Eagles' bye week in week 5. Wow. 14 games, only 8 incompletions. That's clutch, man. Why not? Does anyone see Nick wrong? That's funny. Get roasted Monday. Hilarious 23 minutes. I didn't see it. I don't watch Nick. I don't look at Nick Wright and go, oh, he's someone whose take I got to get, you know? Like, I've told you before, I enjoy Colin Cowherd. I think he does a really good job. Do I think sometimes he's trolling us? I do. But I also don't, I really don't get the feeling, trolling is probably the wrong word. I don't get the feeling that he's ever going out of his way to insult Philadelphia. Like some others. Zach Bond in the playoffs, 3 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, 33 tackles. How about that? 33 tackles is funny. I think he had 33 tackles on defense as a member of the Saints with his entire career, during his entire run with the Saints. And he had that in the playoffs last year. That's pretty special, Sean. Thank you. As long as Jerry Jones controls the team, they suck. Dak is delusional. I agree. Cowboys are a circus show. I concur. John Cheeseborough, for somebody that's never won a divisional round, he's got a ridiculous amount of confidence in thinking a team, once again, in transition, is close to the champions. I was just thinking in my head, is there like, does it go to sing "You Are Delusional" with "We Are the Champions"? You are delusional. Sort of. Kind of have to take creative license there. Creative liberties. Big Dom for president. Too early. Why Niners? Why? How about Big Dom getting all this love? Like yesterday, the offensive linemen, when they went on Fallon, they all had Big Dom shirts on. How great is that? It's been coming up in my algorithm now. The Italian American Society has given awards already. I think to Nick Sirianni and Big Dom DeSandro, whose real name is Domenico. I didn't realize that. That was my great grandfather's name. And Big Dom was one of those Italian Americans whose his parents came over, unlike me. My grandparents came over, and he would go back to Italy, spend summers over there in his father and his mother's hometowns. That's beautiful. But yeah, Big Dom getting all these accolades. It's pretty awesome. Lincoln Riley, I remember his name getting brought up last year as well before they hired Kellen Moore. I would doubt it. Frank Reich, I don't think wants any business of being an offensive coordinator. That's a role that he's really good in. I wouldn't mind seeing it. I think over his head coaching runs, that hasn't worked. So maybe he does come back and take on the position and work with a guy that he mentored. That'd be an interesting relationship. Oh, and he won a Super Bowl with the Eagles as an offensive coordinator, so it wouldn't be the worst thing. So him coming back, I wouldn't mind it. I'm not betting on it. You could certainly put his name on the list. But I still think they're just going to go with in-house. So when you talk about staying power, I think Frank Reich would have a little staying power. Kevin Patullo would have the most staying power. Skirl, did I miss you earlier? I think I did. The problem with Nick not giving up play calling to someone with less experience than he has, in the case of last year and possibly moving forward, is he has a chip on his shoulder. Okay. And wants to prove he could do it. Look, I would love for Nick Sirianni to take over play calling and it work out. That's the best scenario because then you're not worried about your offensive coordinator every 2 seconds. That's why even at the end of last year, I talked about the vicious cycle holding on to Nick Sirianni and bringing in another offensive coordinator only for him to get hired away. And here we are. John Cesaro, you could, but Nussmeier is the only offensive coach who wasn't with Sirianni from jump. And with the Saints targeting Brandon Staley, the defensive guys don't seem like a fit. Yeah. Wine Niners Wine, my weekly update on the Flyers, 24, 26, and 7. Strongly holding last place. Good Lord. Yeah, the Wings have hit a little bit. The Wings miss Scott Scooter Dominy. But the new kid, what's his name? Mike Sowers. He looks like he's coming on pretty strong. Brian Wattington. What up? April, Sixers to hot garbage. Can confirm. Wait, what? Well, hold on. What? Bruce Banner, keep your eyes off the MILFs. I'm sorry, what? Oh, your advice for Disney on Ice. Thank you. All right, hold on. Get the notepad out. Eyes off MILFs. Thank you. I will be there with my wife. Earplugs and a flask. Money changer. I have both those things. I just bought a new pair of headphones. They came with earplugs. I thought that was weird. If I'm buying headphones, I obviously want to hear things. And these came with earplugs. So I have both those things. I have a flask. It's lovely. Bruce Banner, keep your eyes off the MILFs. They're going to be everywhere. It's an infestation. Oh, yeah, that's right. Been to 4. That's right. I'm just thinking. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Bandman 100. Yes, been to 4 Super Bowls. Eagles been to 4 Super Bowls. Thank you. Giants won 4. I'm not wait, no. The Giants won in, 86 and 91? I'm talking about since the Cowboys won. The Giants haven't won 4. They've won 2 Super Bowls since then. Look for an older veteran offensive coordinator. All right. I thought that was interesting as well, Mr. Sandman. Kellen didn't even stick around for the parade. Come on, bruh. Yeah, he flew back with the team, and then I thought he flew to. I just saw the picture of him in wherever the hell he is in New Orleans. People are having fun. Got to write that down. Thank you. Yep, Sean, absolutely. Byron Leftwich is offensive coordinator. Where was he? Tampa? Wait, 4 Super Bowls is the Eagles. Miss Guzzi. Bobby Chong, what's going on? Gonna miss you guys. Farzy, Gunner, and Seth. Best Eagles pre- and post-game show. Thank you so much. Hope you guys stay together for next season. It looks that way, Bobby. Thank you. Middle-aged women are still fine. That's great. That's awesome. Oh, we did work with Tampa? Thank you, Philly D. Appreciate it. Yeah, I missed the Super Bowl with Andy. Forgot about it. Miss Guzzi. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as per usual. And I do appreciate the advice for Disney on Ice. I appreciate the Disney on Ice advice. Thanks for everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Hey, remember the Sixers? They're at it tonight. 7:30 tip-off against the Ben Simmons-less Brooklyn Nets. See if Joel Embiid plays in the back-to-back. And how about this? Trae Young gets named to the All-Star game. And not Tyrese Maxey. Again, the fourth leading scorer in the NBA, not an all-star? They be hating. As for your Flyers, they're back at it tomorrow. Wait, no, they got their off time. They're off. Yeah. They're not back at it till the 22nd. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are great. Good luck getting out of the snow if it applies. Appreciate that. Rumor has it Farzy married a MILF, so he'll be fine. I'll go ahead and say it's not a rumor anymore. It's confirmed. Can confirm. Totally. My wife's a MILF. Dirty D. What a great name to go to after I mention my wife. Popcorn is like $30 for small on Disney on Ice. I advise you to sneak in your own drinks and snacks. Thank you for that. This is a true story. My parents did take me and my brother when I was very young. I remember. I think I might have been 4. And I'm not kidding at all when I say this. I don't know what arena it would have been in. It might have been the Spectrum. But I remember vividly. I remember talking trash to the big bad wolf. I distinctly remember that. And I look back on that now with a career in Philadelphia sports. And think, yeah, that's about right. Being a Philadelphia sports fan, that tracks at that young age to realize the value of trash talk. And I think I saw them stumble a little bit. They were doing like a fairy tale type of thing, and they were like doing like Little Red Riding Hood. That little lady, right? And I remember the big bad wolf, and I remember talking crap to him, and I look back on that with great pride. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag, and the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hey, on Jacob Media, you got John McMullen and Xander coming up here with Birds 365. I had a late start and a late finish today. See you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day. See you then.